I'll never forget the way an ex-colleague described the eve of his 30th birthday. He was lying in bed, his heart was thundering in his ribcage, and he couldn't stop overthinking how his life was suddenly going to plummet after a decade of soaring youth. Our 30s, after all, is a paramount period of reflection and change. Nevertheless, I'm going to share with you some of my personal thoughts and experiences as a 31-year-old. The first thing is that you don't feel young. Your 30s is not considered old, but you don't necessarily feel young either. Nevertheless, that very odd feeling of I feel old sometimes creeps up on you. It's just this annoying and inexplicable feeling that you can't really shake off, and you've got to be in your 30s to experience it. So when you hit 30, you'll know how I feel. The next thing is that the pressure to sort your life out doubles. Hitting that 30 mark rapidly ups that life got serious impetus. If you're still single in your 30s with no children, a lack of career, no home ownership, with little to no savings and insufficient travel experience, then you may encounter emotional anguish in your 30s. You may start comparing yourself with others without even realizing it, and there will be times where you feel unfulfilled and mourn your 20s as regret chokes your motivation. Societal expectations really start hammering you in your 30s, so sort your life out in your 20s. The next thing is that dating becomes challenging. I had more luck dating in my 20s than I did in my 30s. I also feel like your 20s is the prime time to find your significant other. I'm not saying it's impossible in your 30s, but it's definitely more challenging. The reality is that the older you get, the less appealing you become, because the pool of choice becomes limited and your single status or loneliness begins to haunt you. Heck, there are times where I feel like I'm too old to date someone in their mid-20s, but maybe that's just me. The next thing is that friendships evolve. Your 30s is a period where your friendships are going to evolve. They will either strengthen or they will fade. Obligations and responsibilities pile up, friends move away, and they meet new people. Friends also settle down, and family takes precedence over those casual meetups that you used to have. In other words, your social life may take a whole new turn in your 30s. You may also find that your social battery depletes quicker than it did in your 20s, which can have an adverse effect on your friendships. Also, establishing new friendships in your 30s is not impossible, but it's definitely going to be a struggle. The next thing is that you want to rest more. I had more energy in my 20s than I did in my 30s, and there are times after work where I just want to be alone, rest, and sometimes nap. There are also times on the weekends where I just want to snooze, and those of my friends who are also in their 30s express similar feelings. There are occasions where I'm mentally exhausted and recoil at the thought of socializing, whilst the prospect of a blissful night in trumps my plans. The next thing is that your body changes. Spotting grey hairs can be alarming, and as I've mentioned, I'm 31 with a few grey hairs on the side of my head that you can't really see because I shave them off. Nevertheless, seeing your body transition can be a shock to the system. If you're a guy, you may start to experience hair loss. If you're a woman, your hair may start to thin. And to add to the delights, your metabolism slows, your skin begins to show its age, and you may not have the energy and appetite for the same food and drink that you used to in your 20s. And not to mention that those wretched pains and aches may finally begin to surface in your 30s. The final thing is that time becomes more precious. Your 30s is all about looking inwards. The desire for affirmation departs, and the pursuit of materialistic, hedonistic activities dwindles. You realize that time is a limited resource, and now you're extra careful where you invest it and on whom you invest it. And there you are, my humble thoughts and experiences as a 31-year-old man. You may find yourself relating and resonating with some of the things that I've said, or you might not. That's totally fine. We each experience life differently. Because I'm not that far into my 30s, I can't give you a greater overview. But nevertheless, let me know in the comments box what life is like for you as a 30-something-year-old. And I'll catch you all next time. Take care, stay safe, and cheerio for now.